exploring the incredible transformations of Singapore. This is Remarkable Reveals. Fort Canning Park is an iconic hilltop landmark situated in central Singapore. More than just one of the many green spaces around the country, Fort Canning Park is a gateway to fascinating historical insights from as early as the 14th century. It was where Malay royalty once ruled in medieval times, where Britain surrendered to Japan in the Battle of Singapore, and now where nature lovers and history enthusiasts like to escape the hustle of the city centre. It is believed that modern-day Fort Canning Park was once the centre of the thriving kingdom of ancient Singapore in the 14th century. The hill was said to be home to a palace with various political and religious buildings. In around 1330, the Chinese traveller Wang Dayuan visited present-day Singapore, which he named Temasek. In his works, the traveller described a group of people living on Fort Canning Hill called the Ban Zoo. In 1984, archaeologists discovered evidence of workshops for glass and gold that dated back to the 14th century on Fort Canning Hill, which were likely left behind by the Ban Zoo when they were attacked. On 6 February 1819, after the Singapore Treaty was signed by Sir Stamford Raffles, Major William Farquhar, accompanied by a few Malays, climbed up the Bukit Larangan, now Fort Canning Hill, and hoisted the Union Jack on top of the hill, marking Singapore as a British settlement. The hill was later called Singapore Hill. A few years later, while Raffles was still in Bencoolen, Sumatra at the time, George Coleman designed the Residency House for Raffles's use. When he returned in October 1822, Raffles was impressed with Coleman's design and approved it. Its construction began on Singapore Hill and was completed in January 1823. It became known as the Raffles House and was later upgraded to be used by governors of Singapore as the Government House, which is why the hill was renamed Government Hill. Nearly 4 decades later, by 1859, Singapore's lack of harbour defence was a big problem, which led to the hill being used for military purposes. The Raffles House was demolished, and a fort with barracks and a hospital was built. The fort was completed in 1861 and was named Fort Canning, after Charles John Canning. However, it was considered a failure because ships could easily get close enough to destroy the town, yet remain out of reach of Fort Canning's guns. Also, the lack of a stable water supply made the fort useless as a place of refuge for the soldiers. In 1907, the old fort was torn down, only leaving the gateway of the fort, as well as 2 9-pound cannons that we can still see today. A military headquarters by the name of Headquarters Malaya Command Operations Bunker was then built with underground rooms as the operations centre. Under the British Army, it was the headquarters of the Singapore Base District until World War II broke out in the Asia Pacific in 1941. Fort Canning was where Lieutenant General Arthur Percival surrendered Singapore to the Japanese on 15 February 1942. The Japanese occupation followed, with the Japanese military using the buildings on Fort Canning Hill as its headquarters until the end of the occupation in 1945, when the British got back control. The underground bunker was abandoned, however, but it was preserved and reopened in 1992 as a tourist attraction that is now known as the Battle Box. As Singapore moved closer to independence, the British handed over control of Fort Canning to the Singaporean military in 1963. It then became the headquarters for the Malayan Infantry Brigade until 1966, when Fort Canning was handed over to the Singapore Armed Forces. The area became known as Central Park in 1972 and was renamed Fort Canning Park on 1st November 1981 by Lee Kuan Yew, who converted it into the historical park we know today. Fort Canning Park overlooks Orchard Road and is located in the heart of the CBD of Singapore. Today, the park is an important green space in Singapore's busy downtown city area. The unique blend of history and greenery has made Fort Canning full of cultural and artistic activities. A range of outdoor events such as art and music festivals and performances have been hosted there. Attractions inside the park include the famous Battle Box, the Fort Gate, the 2 remaining 9-pound cannons, the Spice Garden, which is a replica of Singapore's first botanical garden that Raffles built, the Fort Canning Centre, which used to be the British Army barracks, the Sang Nilo Utama Garden, Raffles Terrace, and much more. Fort Canning is an iconic hilltop in the heart of the island nation that has witnessed many of Singapore's historic milestones. There's something for everyone at Fort Canning Park, with a fascinating mix of past and present, all deeply intertwined with Singapore and its people.